When it comes to science fiction, the idea of what might be possible can take us from deep under the ocean to galaxies far, far away. It can take us from times when people speak of wild, wild west to times centuries and even millennia into the future. Some of the ideas are brilliant, technological and futuristic things that seem beyond belief, things that can inspire futuristic technologies that we have today. If you want to guess what I mean, when do you think the first idea of a communication device that can reach anyone, such as a smartphone, first came in? Yeah, Star Trek. But which items kind of have a feature that might not be so flashy? What kinds of secrets are there ready for people to find out that really we don't want to know? What secrets am I going to give away that might just turn your stomach? Here I have thoroughly researched this and have, I admit, felt a little ill afterwards, especially all of the facts in all of them. So grab a barf bag, sit back, relax, and let's get started. Now I'm sure you've heard of these critters. They're basically a fast-ride beast of burden from the ice planet of Hoth. Critters that are constantly, for some reason, a smelly beast. And they're also great for saving injured Jedi from the cold until a structure is built. But why do they smell? I mean, it's likely that in the Star Wars universe, they could clean these animals and let them be a lot less smelly, so why don't they? Let me give you a hint. A tauntaun doesn't have a large intestine with a single exit. In fact, the way a tauntaun poops is a defense mechanism against the occasional wampa. One that practically had a few people insisting they can wait for speeders because they poop at their hair follicles. That's right, the people who ride on tauntauns are sitting on what's basically the waist of the creature. Now do you know why I said you didn't want to know? What a concept. Being able to point at a spot on a map and teleport yourself instantly there. It had been at the fringes of concept before it became pretty well known in Star Trek, and has been a continual use across the sci-fi genre, but there's a reason I will never use it in any of my Fire Sword stories. There are certain issues Star Trek never addresses, issues that are just kind of assumed. It has to do with how the mechanism works. You see, there are three basic ideas on how to safely teleport, and each brings up a lot of problems. First is the idea that your body is transformed into pure energy and sent particle by particle to another location and rebuilt and stuck back together. The major problem with this is that there's no guarantee that this can actually work, namely because unless there's a way to ensure the endpoint is clear, you could end up with something you didn't want being stuck in your body. Now, I will admit, they found some rather novel solutions, like having an enclosed space that can be sterilized before arrival, but it has to be insured at the departure point. This is the main reason an issue in the movie The Fly, when the scientists inadvertently teleported with a single fly in the departure unit, and their DNA mixed. Second is thought of as a main idea in Star Trek, that their teleporter basically destroys a living organism and then rebuilds it face up exactly as it was made before. Get the understanding? You're not really teleported, as the machine basically kills you, then rebuilds another you at the location. That's not very reassuring. Perhaps Bones was right in his desire to not use the device. Third is the idea of quantum entanglement. It's a brilliant idea, mirroring everything on an atomic level and being able to separate and move the one atom to the other. There's one major issue here. While it's already been determined that quantum entanglement would work, actual power usage would need to be phenomenally huge. That and the issue from the first idea comes up again. So how do you like the idea of being killed and rebuilt, being possibly combined with something you don't want, or needing a huge power boost? I don't like it either. One of the more common aspects of sci-fi over the years has been the pseudoscience of bionics or cybernetic implants. The idea, first brought forth in the mid-1970s, I think, was a way to fix people who had been damaged and who could make it work. And I have nothing but the greatest respect for those who have workable cybernetic limbs to replace those that have been lost. But there is a limitation. Learning how to operate a cybernetic arm is a good thing, since it can be easily trained. But the one thing that will perhaps forever remain inexplicably out of reach is a total mind-controlled technology. This might sound a little harsh, but hear me out. Training someone to operate a cybernetic arm is a workable solution and one that can, I hope, really happen. But what about those that can no longer move? What about these technologies that would require full cybernetic linking? The problem here is that no two minds are alike. What parts of the mind might cause something to move for one might not be the same to move for another. This is something that actually links into the next one in order to make it truly universal. Now, I know that there are those that would argue that we actually have AI now, but it's not true AI, just a complex series of instructions that a programmer has already put in. Just thinking of two things that can show what I mean. One of the more interesting AI examples is the recommended for you categories in Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, and all the other things that you can probably list. I have been on a service like that for a while now, and I can honestly say that it has never shown anything in these categories that I've even been interested in. It has shown me things I'd rather never have seen, as well as continually suggesting a show or two to me that I've repeatedly said I don't want to watch. And what's more, I believe the benchmark of the true AI is perpetually out of reach. It's called the Turing test. Turing being an early computer scientist who projected that it would be a time when computers would be truly learning. He proposed a test to see if it's truly AI, merely IMing to an unseen entity with questions, and that if you can't tell after 20 minutes if the one you're conversing with is human or computer, it must be truly intelligent. Major problems arise though. The test must be invalidated if you're told you can't ask anything that would be routinely considered human. And then the problem that if you are left unrestricted, no computer can truly answer such a human thing to say as, man, the weather's bad out there. Or, what do you think of the verdict of such a trial? Or even, how was your day? Since a computer would likely not be able to answer that, not unless another achievement is made, it's pretty easy to invalidate the test. And that achievement is a real way that we begin to learn. Someone pointed out to me that we can't learn without language, but that's not entirely accurate. A baby doesn't know language, doesn't know the meaning of words, but they can tell when they do something good for their parents, as well as something not so good. The emotional impact is important to learning because of that. So the only way any AI Turing test can be passed is if they manage to unlock the secret of artificially creating emotions. But then there's something else that might make us really question if we want to do this. I'm sure you can name a number of TV shows and movies that show what might happen if a computer becomes more intelligent than its creators. Now, while giving them an inheritance of emotions might give them a morality, it really can't be guaranteed that the consequences of this might just be something we would later regret. But with all these, which technology is the one that you'd be happy if you didn't know? What kind of science fiction gadget is it that's absolutely the worst if you were to learn it? What kind of technology is in fact perhaps the most disgusting bit of technology you'd wish you'd never really known? The idea is brilliant, being able to call out for anything you want, from Earl Grey tea to hard liquor, from a uniform to a weapon. It would seem that it's really like anything could be thought up within reason, but only to a certain extent. It's a given that matter and energy cannot be created or destroyed, called thermodynamics. So where does the matter for this technology come from? In the original series, it was a given that the food was not replicated, but was actually from storage inside the ship itself. Storage that would bring up whatever was needed, and that they could always resupply from a nearby starbase. But then came another issue. How do you make it so they don't need a starbase quite so much? And make it so that the Enterprise D from the next generation didn't need to stop over quite so much? I won't go into too much detail except to say that they have a pretty much unlimited supply of matter they can reconfigure into food, matter that comes from the other end of the digestive tract, if you know what I mean. Yes, that's right. Replicated food is more like recycled food. Recycled from food that is the end result of digestion. I won't go on, given how this revelation could be entirely revolting to what you all know now.
So that's it. I hope you didn't get too sick from that last bottle. But otherwise, you made it through. So, as usual, here's the subscription button. Over here's my social media, which can both be used to keep in touch and let you know when I put a new video up. Perhaps one that's not quite so disgusting at the end. A couple more videos are down below. And there's also a GoFundMe campaign in the description. Check out all the links and go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And we'll see you all next time.